Welcome to Daddy's Podcast.
This is the Redefining Plastics Podcast. Welcome to the Redefining Plastics Podcast. My name's Justin Riney. There's some people that you'll recognize on here. Specifically, if you watched last week's episode, you'll recognize Samantha. We're going to call you Sam going forward, but Sam has graciously accepted my demand/request that she be the co-host on this show. So I'm really excited about that. She's going to add a perspective and she's going to keep me grounded, because the biggest thing that I'm told in feedback is I don't know what you're talking about. And I need people to make sure that I don't get way over my skis on that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I probably won't know what you're talking about. So I'll let you know when I don't.
Perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. This is going to work out great. And then we got the rest of the brave boys. Well, at least a quarter of you. I don't know. You guys are growing.
Yeah.
I don't know who's brave, who's not. I know people that we run in the same circles with, but you guys have been expanding a ton. So we got Alex, we got Mitch. Alex said this is his first podcast. He's a little nervous.
Correct.
But it's just us talking. How many times have we talked now? Like the entire time at PRC, I just bogarted that couch and you got stuck sitting next to me pretty much the entire afternoon that one day.
Yep.
And so glad to have you boys back on, and glad to have the extra pair of hands and the different perspective that Sam's going to offer. And for those that are watching, I'm going to do the really cheesy YouTuber, please like, subscribe, add comments. I'd love to have a conversation within the comment section. The more we add to that, the more engagement it shows, and the more the algorithm will show our material to people outside of our sphere of influence.
Especially if it gets a little problematic. I mean,
exactly, because you will get problematic at some point, Mitch. You will say something inappropriate, and I can make that into a short, and then a lot of people will pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But so the whole purpose of this discussion is we're going to talk about what Brave's up to now. We had, what was it, probably 3 months ago, where we had you guys on, you, Will, and Adam. We cut Adam out of this because we wanted people to get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, this isn't a Joe Rogan 3.5 hour down.
Yeah, I don't have 3.5 hours. I've got an hour right now, and that's about it. But I really want to get to know what you guys are up to. I know you're on the road all the time. You're seeing a lot of the country. You're talking to a lot of recyclers. And I'm sure there's a ton of interesting stuff going on. So, Mitch, why don't you kind of give us an update where you're at right now?
Yeah, it's been fun. Me and Alex alone in this past week have been in like 4 or 5 different states. And over the last couple of weeks, I think we've put 3,000 miles on the cars, just driving around and seeing different recyclers and manufacturers. Adam's been on flights all over, so as Will. And really just, kind of going and seeing boots on the ground, what's happening at these different facilities, where there's opportunities for us to collaborate more, where there's opportunities to do things better. And it's on both sides. It's with both the recyclers and the manufacturers. So that's been great from a travel perspective. From a growth perspective, Alex has opened up a transloading facility in Iowa, Soaring Eagle, where it's kind of a needed midpoint for a lot of us, especially when it's talking about like scrap aggregation. One thing we talk about a lot is the logistics side of this. So being able to put together more combo loads and get them to the right places to process instead of shipping more air.
I'm gonna do the let's level set combo loads. Talk about what a combo load is.
Let's talk to the king of combo loads.
Yeah. So basically, combo loads, we're going into these manufacturers, grabbing, plastic film, OCC cardboard, and then, probably 12, 14 different types of plastic scrap, whether it's commodity or engineering grades. So a lot of propylene, ethylene, styrenes, and then you're getting into the engineering grades of ABS, polycarbonate, nylons, all of that. So when you can go into a facility and you're willing to take 15 items on the same truck, you tend to get a lot more activity and opportunities to service those accounts versus a company coming in and just saying, hey, we just want the propylene. And then a lot of people don't want to take the good with the bad. We're willing to take it all. And I kind of have a rule, like the 80-20 rule. if 80 of it is worthwhile, you're willing to deal with the 20 that is going to be a little bit tougher to deal with. But
yeah, and that's the fun part, though, right? Like
yes,
finding the homes for that 20%, like really grinding.
Yes, correct. Yeah, I got to keep you on your toes, and yeah, that 20%. I tell you what, you pretty much learn something new every single day in this industry. There's always something that comes across the table that's brand new to you, and then you got to solve the problem and bring a solution.
So are you doing milk runs with this, or is it specific truckloads for one site and then that fills up a full trailer and then you head back?
There's a couple accounts that will pick up and then drive 30 minutes down the road on the way back and then do a second pickup. So we'll do milk runs. Usually it's just 2 stops.
Okay.
After any more than 2 stops, it gets a little bit trickier with logistics.
But then a lot of cleanouts too, where a lot of people are like, we're sitting on a bunch of different things and we didn't realize we can put it all together. And then for people who are listening that don't really understand the whole goal of a transload, and I know we had that conversation with the Circular Colorado about it, is then you can bring in a bunch of different materials and build to a full load. So if we're trying to market it to somebody who's an end user who's only going to take the polypropylene, then we're able to then go do 10 runs to be able to get a full load of propylene, and now we have a full load of ethylene, and now it's marketable, which helps a lot too, because these end users don't want to go and set up these programs.
Not at all.
They don't want to have OCC film. They don't want to have all of that. Like, they're in the job of making products, and they need to have the right feedstock. So to be able to go even service some of their accounts that they're selling materials into, if you're talking about a compounder who's making pellets, selling it into somebody who's going to produce purging and film and all of this. Some of them have just said, hey, why don't you go and talk to our accounts, do the recycling for them, and then get us back what we want.
Are these all segregated streams already, or are you sorting the material you get back?
So we've had to do some education on teaching how to segregate streams. We actually are working on a national project right now where, it could be, we'll figure out exactly what's going to work, but it could be taken in and doing colored bins to say, drop this here, drop this there. And, you talked about it on the podcast before, like you did with Rick. It's being able to take something that's trash and they'll have to pay to haul it away versus turning something into a rebate is going to be a game changer.
Big deal. Yeah. Cost avoidance is huge for corporations, brands, any of that.
Yes, correct. And another reason we've been on the road so much is the fact that when you have boots on the ground and you're physically at the warehouse and you can take a look at everything they have to offer, we can bring solutions and give them opportunities right on the spot. And it's a lot easier to do that, versus a phone call asking for a bunch of pictures. When you show up, we went to account yesterday and I think we just issued them 4 or 5 POs for 4 or 5 combo loads. And if we didn't hop in the car at 5 a.m. and, drive across state lines, we probably didn't put that relationship together. So we're doing that pretty much every week at this point. So it's pretty exciting stuff. Physically being there, especially in the first interactions, with new companies, it's exciting stuff.
Oh, and on top of that, not to hog the time, but we're also finding new solutions, right? There's recyclers out there who are doing things differently or have different systems or technologies. We met a guy last week who is able to take EVOH off of PET. He doesn't have a website or anything. You wouldn't really be able to find him. It's like, there's these solutions out there. Adam was at an account last week. We're talking to a national account that wants to start doing post-consumer PVC into their siding, and it's just really hard to get down the right blend. Adam goes up and sees a guy who's operating out of 12,000 square feet who's making post-consumer pellets out of siding that will probably run perfectly. And so you have to be out there to find these solutions.
Yep. Boots on the ground are a big deal. And that was actually going to be my next question. Are you just out looking for material? Or are you out trying to find other partners to join the Brave network? And it seems like Adam's kind of focused more on that side, or am I reading that wrong?
It's both. So we've had good relationships with a lot of companies for a while, right? But and we all do business together and we all operate very transparently, and maybe we'll send a scrap stream there for them to toll, or we'll do a 50-50 split on the sale price, whatever it may be. But I think that's all well and good, but to be able to actually go in and coordinate, let's go look at each other's plants and see where, hey, all of your olefins should be coming here, all of our vinyl should be going there, or vice versa. So kind of putting those partnerships together. I mean, me and Alex have been focused a lot on the Baltimore facility, which will be fully joining as like a member of Brave here soon, and seeing how we can increase capacity there, get the right streams in there, bring down conversion costs, things of that nature. So it's a bit of both. And then the other thing that we do is, like, once we start partnering and working with these other recyclers, it's, Sam's out sending campaigns to see how she can start feeding them more scrap. So it really becomes a pretty collaborative and joint effort pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. So I got to ask a non-plastics question. What the hell is up with your T-shirt? What is going on there?
That's Temu, isn't it?
This is Alan Jackson.
Yeah, I figured that
Did you get
part.
it on Temu?
You probably did.
I have a bit of
He loves Temu.
I have a bit of an addiction.
He
Oh,
got
that's
he
great.
got a T-shirt addiction.
When you walk
recently.
into
His wife loves it.
here's another thing. I mean, this actually kind of relates back to the road pretty easily. When you walk into a facility wearing a George Strait or a NASCAR or WWE T-shirt or something like that, people automatically realize that we're not here to take things too seriously. We're here just to help each other problem solve. I'm not coming in there with a clipboard and
I guess it's a good icebreaker.
and yeah, it's like we're just a bunch of people, trying to solve problems together, and what you see is what you get.
It's true. That's very true. Oh man. So yeah, you brought up the conversation with Rick Demko, which is what, 2-3 weeks ago now. That guy was an encyclopedia of recycling information. It was like, I thought I knew a lot, but yeah, that guy, he knows way more than I'll ever know. Like, he's forgot more than I'll know. And so like those kind of connections and those people within the industry that you guys know, and the more of those that you can find, the more likely it is we're going to solve big problems. And so I love it. I absolutely love it. So where are you guys going this week? Like, where to, like, regionally?
Delaware.
Delaware.
This week so 2 weeks ago, I guess this all started. I was down with Sam, and we did a few places down in Florida, and then I drove back from Florida, and I hit a lot of places on the Southeast along the way. Then I hopped on a plane and flew to Chicago to meet Alex, and we met with some of our friends and companies we work with in Chicago, drove back and hit, Indiana, Ohio, places like that. So now we're back in Maryland, and this week we've been hitting really a lot of the mid-Atlantic, so New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and then tomorrow we'll be going to Delaware.
Just all over the place. But regional perspective, trying to find things to work with Baltimore and things to work with the Iowa site. Where at in Iowa was it again?
Dubuque, Iowa.
Dubuque.
It's right on the Mississippi, East Iowa.
Yeah, that's not Quad Cities, is it?
It's about an hour north of the Quad Cities.
All right, because my family has a cabin by Burlington, Iowa. So we used to go fishing there all the time. That's the only reason why I ask. Beyond that, I don't know anything about Iowa, other than you can get extra nickel for your recycled cans. That was a big deal to my grandfather at the time.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah, very fun fact. And it's very illegal to collect those in Illinois and then take them to Iowa, which I found out later.
That's too funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but, work in the system, game in the system. That's fine.
Have to.
So I guess the big thing and the big topic that a lot of people are talking about now is it seems like we're trying to put like lipstick on a pig with recycling. I get that a lot of like, you're doing all of this effort, you're putting all of this time, money, and effort into finding these sources, but is it really making a difference? What would you say to that?
I would say that there's capacity out there at a lot of these plants. And I think that people need to kind of, Rick talked about the math of it, and I think you kind of have to understand that, is that if a plant is just running, and I'm not going to get too technical, and Sam can, try. I'm in if I do, but like,
Okay.
let's just say that your all-in cost to run your facility is $150,000 a month. We're talking about your overhead, your employees, all that. And then let's say that you're processing 1 million pounds in that facility. So that means that it's going to cost you 15 cents per pound to process. Now, there's a lot of things that we can't change there. Electrical is going to be electrical. Property taxes are going to be property taxes. Sometimes we have to have more or less employees, so that makes it a little bit variable. Well, let's just say we're sitting right around that cost. Now, we also know that a lot of these facilities probably aren't operating at 100% capacity, meaning that if they're grinding and putting out and processing 1 million pounds a month, there could be the potential for them to do, 1.5 million pounds a month. At that point, then your processing cost is going to go down, which means that when you sell these materials that you're creating, then you're going to have more value. So what people need to kind of understand is that when you go and put in more materials to be processed, you're actually helping feed the whole cycle, because then people are more willing to, actually operate these plants and put in more effort, because then their costs are going to go down. They're making more profit, which allows them to reinvest into systems or processes or things of that nature that are going to help make the whole process even better. So it's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing. And when I say all that too, I'm talking about, the cost and this and that and the other thing. I'll tell you, every one of these plants that we go to, there's a few exceptions, but when you go and see the owner, he is wearing every hat in the entire place. So there could be an account right down the street full of really good material that could be recycled, but it's going to the landfill, or it's just piling up in their yard or something like that, because this poor guy doesn't have the time to even, look up and look around to be able to bring in this new material. So I don't think it's necessarily lipstick on the pig. I think that it's that if we are able to kind of work together as a whole to do better and understand where each other's problems are and how we can actually help make it a better system, then everybody would do better, including the people who are sending their stuff to the landfill because they're not going to pay. I'll tell you, Sam will tell you this too. Our favorite thing is an inbound email. Hey, do you guys take this?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Because you know what? That's a lot less work for everybody else. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you can, so if everybody just said, and sometimes people can't, or sometimes people know somebody that will be able to, but if everybody just went and found their local plastic recycler and said, hey, can you take this? It would make a world of difference.
Just communication.
Yeah.
And collaboration. I think I've seen so many stories of there's a recycler in a city, and then there's a production facility 2 miles up the road, and then that production facility is sending their scrap 6 states over,
Mm-hmm.
when the one right next door could have handled it. And that would have made everything in the supply chain cheaper. It makes end markets simpler because you can sell it for at or less than virgin pricing, which is always the pushback. And virgin pricing being just typical plastics. Like first time production plastics are always cheaper than PCR, not always cheaper than PIR, so post-industrial versus post-consumer. And a lot of what you guys are doing is finding homes for all that post-industrial scrap waste that would have gone to a landfill. So you're diverting material from a landfill, which is a huge win.
I think I wasn't going to bring this up, but we're going to.
All right.
I think one of the biggest issues is dealing with big corporations, big corporate. When you're
I won't take
them,
that personally, Alex.
When you're
Don't
asking
worry.
them, why are you sending an 8,000 pound load of scrap from Arizona all the way to Indiana, when I'm telling you can send it 10 minutes down the road? It's like, it's to the point where they don't even care about the money. They don't care about the savings. They don't, care about any of that. It's just they're either not willing to change, or a change would take 3 to 4 months of paperwork to do.
And that's not how they're bonused, or that's not
Exactly.
their metrics.
Yes, there's no incentive.
There's more risk than reward.
Yes.
Because a lot of these people, God bless them, because it's their job, it's their livelihood, it's how they put food on the table. If they go and say, hey, let's go swap out our recycling program, and it goes south, then it's on them. And if it
You
goes,
shut a plant down because of that.
but if it goes well,
Mhm.
what are they going to get, an attaboy? It doesn't, there's a risk reward thing there.
Yeah, definitely a two-way street. Both parties have to be willing to have the tough conversations that not everyone wants to have.
I mean, Sam's on the front lines a lot. Like, what are a lot of the emails that you get, or that are like no emails?
Not really from anything like that, like recycling program changes. It's mainly kind of how you said, like, it kind of I don't know how else to phrase it, but like everyone's just doing like the job they were hired to do. And like, it's almost like saying like it's kind of out of their wheelhouse a little bit. Like they're not the decision maker. Like, as really I'm not. Like half the time someone asks me a question, I have to go to one of you guys. Like, is this fine? Like, is this not? So a lot of times if I ask something like that from one company, I do all the time and we do it every time. And then another company, they're like, we don't do that. We've never done that. We will never do that. And I'm like, okay. So it's kind of more so, I've never gotten, again, it's kind of out of my wheelhouse to talk about their recycling program. So I've never gotten anything like about changing that aspect. It's more so, this is our process of how we've always done it. Like we've never, like for an example, like getting a receiver for material. I've gotten a company be like, we have never sent those before, like ever. And I'm like, okay. Okay. But I'm like, every other company does it for me. So sometimes it's just like, and they're not going to change it because they're just a logistics person. Like they're not going to be like, oh, we'll change it because you do it. It's just like, that's just how they operate. So I would say a lot of different things, but most of the time it's just like, it's not even a no. It's just like a non-debate. Like, that's just like not what we do.
Yeah, that's actually fair.
I'd say waste
Like,
audits.
it's not going to be discussed. It's just like, that's no.
So waste audits at a plant level don't happen nearly enough, would be my first comment to that, specifically big corporations.
Yeah.
And then there are very few people within procurement, because typically that's where this function is housed, that handle waste well across an entire big portfolio of plants, because each one of these plants does things very differently. So if you've got a production footprint of 16 facilities that are moving millions upon millions of pounds a month, this is the lowest priority on your scale as a plant manager. The plant manager is keeping that thing running, and they probably don't have anybody boots on the ground that are managing the waste. It's just to set it and forget it. It's very similar to how people at home do it. I'm just going to throw it away and somebody else will take care of it. It's not my thing. That's their thing. So explaining to them and actually selling them on how this is going to make everything better is a challenge. Like, you're talking specifically for big companies. For little companies, you're going to have a little more agility because you're solving a real problem for them.
That's why we've had such good luck with waste guys, that their main focus is just cardboard and trash, and they get plastics as a byproduct. And we can just go in there and give them solutions, on the spot. And it's just kind of a second thought for them, and they kind of don't know the value. So we go in there and kind of tell them where they can improve to gain more margin on their stuff. For example, there's a waste guy that was grinding his HD milk jugs and grinding it with other grades of HD. And I mean, he told us exactly what he was getting for it. And
God.
I offered him 10 cents more and said, hey, I'll give you 10 cents more. I was like, bail this, stop grinding it.
Yeah, stop
It's
grinding it together.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're truly
He's doing
trying
the
to help.
best that he could, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're truly
he
trying to
figured if
help.
he gets more volume,
Yeah.
then he can sell more of it. It's easier to sell if he's got a full truckload too.
Yeah,
There's so many other variables to this.
What we've run into a lot on the road, which is a really interesting point to me, was I think there was a lot of people who were just in like, let's call it the overall recycling game. And I think what a lot of people in our industry recognize is how big the fibers market actually is. I mean, when you go into recyclers, not like most of the time they're like, oh yeah, we do the cardboard and OCC and double line, all that. That's their main grades that they work on. And plastic, again, like Alex said, was a byproduct. And when the market got super hot during COVID, I think a lot of them tried to expand more into plastics because they saw that opportunity. And now that the market's really cooled off, they've had to basically taper that all the way back. And now they still have all these machines and they have the accounts coming in, but like it's not a focus there. So they're losing the value because it's just not even, it's just become like a side quest that kind of went off into the distance.
I don't know if you can settle a LinkedIn argument for me that I was having with a friend from Europe, but I have never been into a recycling facility that's actually collecting thin gauge paper, anything other than OCC. Have you run into anybody that's actually collecting large amounts?
Yeah, yesterday.
All right.
Yeah, literal like bales of shredded paper from, offices. And then also even like, I saw a ton of bales of like, when you get those things in the mail from like a bank trying to get you to sign up for a credit card or something, all of those baled together. And I mean,
Is that consistent or is it just like
that's their main business.
All right.
A lot of these
All right,
guys are
well,
like 80.
I lose that argument.
That was easy.
Yeah, that won't be the first time I'll lose an argument, but I lost that one, so I apologize.
So back to the milk jugs.
Yeah.
So they would have been happy to get a 2-cent increase. Like I could have been like, hey, I'll give you 2 cents more. But we're truly trying to help people and motivate people to try to source more of it. So we're willing to help and try to show them how much value there is in certain items in hopes that they go and try to get more of that.
Well, and in that exact same scenario, it's not just an increase in price by 10 cents. It's probably more like 20, 25 cents because
you're
then taking out the grind costs.
Yep.
I think a lot of people think, especially when we're talking about the people who went and, invested in some of this equipment and stuff, we've got the grinder. That's what it's here for. Let's just grind it all up. But there's a lot of materials, especially one thing when we're talking about going back to your lipstick on a pig, when you want to get a really good compounded recycled pellet, not just talking about repro, but like something that's truly compounded, spec'd in, and that a manufacturer can run at the same consistency as virgin. Quality is obviously the most important thing. There's a lot of people out there who are compounding the exact same pellets, but they're not the exact same pellets. The specs might read the same, but you said to
there's a special sauce to compound.
100%.
Certain people do it really well, other people don't.
And there's a lot of people who like to control the quality all the way through. So there is the ability to take some scrap and just bale it and sell it for not as much as you would sell it for regrind, but be able to sell it where the differentiator between taking out the grind cost and just selling it as scrap is substantial. So being able to educate people when it makes sense to grind, when it doesn't make sense to grind, when you should bale, when you should do this. And, that's a game changer.
A lot of these compounders prefer baled loads, loose loads, because they want to control the quality, and then they need to keep their internal costs down. So they want to be able to close loop, shred, grind, ties all in-house.
And they can right size the flake to exactly meet their specifications.
Yeah, and control any sort of contamination.
Yeah.
So a lot of these recyclers that are struggling, if they would just downsize and try to condense materials more. Last time I checked, a bale cost is a lot cheaper than a grind cost.
Yeah. So you're talking just like become aggregators.
Yeah.
And then sell to somebody that's going to actually either regrind it.
To compound in-house.
Well, and this all goes back to the logistics side of it too. It's like, and this is where we're helping work together and identify, the market between selling to a compounder and selling to a manufacturer is going to be, there's going to be a premium when you're selling to manufacturer. So being able to identify what streams you can sell to a manufacturer and make good pricing on, and what streams you can sell to a compounder and make good pricing on, and where it makes more sense to bale or sell or be an aggregator. So once you're actually able to dive in, we're not necessarily going to, I don't think anybody's goal is to, turn off our grinders altogether and, not necessarily operate, but maybe we should be grinding more of this. And kind of to your point, if there's a source down the street where you can pick up a bunch more of that exact same grade, then let's focus on grinding that grade, because that's
and you've expanded recycling of a certain
not
material.
grind just to grind.
Yeah. And I think it's good to make a differentiation here. You're not selling a service here. You're going in, you're talking to these people, and you're saying, I would be a buyer of this. But that's still free market. They could still end up selling it to somebody else. So you are helping people within the industry, not altogether altruistically. You're hoping that they will work with you after you put that together, and then you can make some money off that. But I'm sure there are instances when they take all your advice and then end up selling it somewhere else. What would you do with that?
And I think that's okay.
Yeah. It's better for the industry, right?
Like, so yesterday, there wasn't any room for us. We were looking at purchasing HD crate grade from a waste guy, and there wasn't room.
You want to explain what crate grade is?
Yeah.
Anybody in recycling knows crate grade, but
So
not everybody.
Okay,
knows.
so HDPE crate grade is going to be like the dairy containers. Is that going to be like buckets? Is buckets crate?
No, it's going to be
that's pale grade.
That's pale grade.
It's going to be like like bread trays, crates. Like when you drive behind, one of our favorite things to do too is drive behind shopping centers, and
then
so
follow the trucks.
if you drive
where they
behind
go.
like Walgreens, you're going to see a bunch of crates where they carry in like the Coke and Pepsi, the bottles and stuff. Crate grade.
Yep, the beverage crates.
Because that stuff is all reground, make back into a pellet, and there's a lot of recycled content in those crates.
Yes. You could definitely consider those post-consumer.
Yeah, because the end consumer is the beverage company, the dairy, whatever,
Walgreens,
and it reached the end of its useful life.
Yeah, so basically there wasn't room for us to purchase it, and Mitch just connected him with a top buyer for that product and increased this guy's margin by 3-4 cents. And I mean, in turn, we probably did 4 or 5 trucks with them that day as well. But I mean, we're really just happy to help, and
what we're able to do too, like
people just really appreciate that.
what we're able to do there is like, this is a perfect example. There's his grinder there. He doesn't have a shredded grinder, so he can't take big bulky items and take them down to grind. But less than 100 miles away in Baltimore, we are able to do that. So he has just a bunch of stuff piling up in the yard. Said, okay, we'll take this down here, we'll grind it, and then pay you for it. And he makes money that he wasn't being able to make before. And then vice versa, if there's streams that are up there that are not make sense from a freight perspective for us to bring back, we'll just put them in there and work on it together. I mean, it's not rocket science.
It really isn't, but at the same time, it's not intuitive for people to want to do what you're doing. Everybody that I've known that's been a broker, everybody is a strong word. Most brokers I know, they find an opportunity like that, they protect it, they make sure nobody knows about it, and they do everything they can to find ways to make margin on it, rather than they would never connect with a partner unless they were in between.
I think part of where that is like the empathy factor, and kind of going back to the cost modeling. Like, we all talk to each other about each other's grind costs, what labor costs are like in the areas and whatnot. And so being able to understand what somebody actually has into a material and what that actually means for their business is, I think, kind of paramount in being able to have these discussions. At the end of the day, me and Adam talk about this a lot. Like, we have to worry about not just ourselves and not just about keeping, obviously, the lights on at the company and doing well at our different plants. But like, we have 20 people on the floor who have to pay rent. Christmas comes around each year. and, they have presents to buy, and that's not as simple for some people as it seems to others. Like, we have a lot of these people to worry about, just like them. So it's not just doing better for the companies. It's doing better for all the people involved.
Yeah.
And a lot in these big cities right now, you're competing against, like we were just talking, like for us to go to a second shift, we may have to bring in 20 new people to be able to find 4 or 5 that are stick or whatever, because you've got big distribution centers and warehouses that are paying really significant hourly wages and
Good benefits.
great benefits and things like that. So we have to create a culture that keeps people wanting to come and work, bring more people into work, and then also reward them for that work. When we have a good month in production, put in profit sharing and things of that nature. And, this is something, not to kind of go on another tangent, but when I talk,
That's what you do.
when I talk about the system, if we're going to go ask these companies to hand sort their scrap or their purge or whatever it may be, that's found money. We're also eliminating the cost. If it was going somewhere or if we're increasing it, why not give that back to the people in the warehouse who are actually doing that work? Because then that's going to incentivize them to want to actually work harder to recycle more and to not cross-contaminate. So, just empowering everybody from the top down.
I think the one thing in the time that I've been working with you guys, the word that always comes to mind is empathy. And I think you mentioned it a little while ago. It's the human touch in business. I'm looking at your hat, the Make America Brave Again, and I was trying to figure out if I could make America empathetic again, but the again part doesn't work, and it really doesn't roll off the tongue if you just say Make America Empathetic. But that's kind of what you guys are doing, right? You're out here, you're trying to solve problems, you're trying to make the industry better, you're trying to make it so more people can float, and the more people that can float, it's going to raise the boats of everybody. And that's all good, because the recycling industry, specifically like right now, we're bottom of the cycle when it comes to virgin resin prices. So your traditional producers, we're oversupplied, we're selling at no margins, and that makes it really hard to compete when you're selling recycled stuff. And how many people do you know of that are either under threat of going out of business right now because of where the market's at, or have done?
Quite a few lately.
Yeah.
Or
And you're trying to solve for that.
Or
You're
they're
trying
just
to
tired.
solve for that.
Yeah. So, for example, the Baltimore plant we have, he was just doing plastics as a byproduct, and he was kind of thinking about getting out of the plastics side of things. And then Mitch met them, and Mitch kind of got him all fired up and motivated. And now they're giving us another 30,000 square feet to fill up with plastic and to process. We're going to send a grinder in there, like just
New revenue streams.
yeah. People are getting excited.
But it kind of goes to the conversation you and Sam had last week about how to get, that next generation engaged. And I think one thing that's cool is from Sam to us to all that, like we started there's this younger cohort that we're all kind of becoming friends and texting and talking every day and basically figuring out where we can start doing more together, and getting more people interested, because some of these places aren't going to go out of business by force. They're just going to go out of business because they're tired.
And we need more people to recycle. If we want to, so I'm going to take my brave hat off for a second. I'm going to talk from a resin producer perspective. If we want people to believe that the plastics industry is serious about recycling, we need to protect those that are doing it right now like they're gold. And what we end up doing is, in order to keep afloat ourselves, we kind of tank the recycling market.
Yep.
And then when you get into a situation where we want to start investing in recycled content, let's say we wanted a long-term project, we don't have a brand backing us up that says, I'm going to buy 100% of what you collect, then we don't do it. For multitude of reasons. Like, we don't want to be caught holding the bag with material. We don't want to let you guys down or the industry down. So we need everybody pulling on the same rope. And right now, we're letting people hang by it. And it's a shame because there are so many solutions. Like the stuff that you guys are talking about doing are probably prolonging people's business and allowing them to get through this trough. And we need more of that.
I mean, 3 to 4 cents can go a long way, right?
It really can.
I mean, and I don't think people, necessarily understand that. There's a lot of margin at the top on products.
Yeah.
And when you start to look at what would it really do to the bottom line to give 3 to 4 more cents, but don't think about that as a long-term hit to the P&L. Look at that as a short-term hit to the P&L. Look at it as like a long-term solidifier of a supply chain that you're going to be able to, create some resilience by making sure that those good suppliers are always going to be there.
And they have enough to survive.
Correct.
It's not a very good partnership if that partner goes bankrupt. And that's what I see all the time. And back when I was in procurement, so I was in procurement for a long time. And I'd always get kind of smacked around a little bit at times when we were in market troughs like this. Like, you probably got a couple pennies more savings on that. Like, you could have pushed a little harder. But I was always good at reading when we got to this is the pain zone and we need to not push beyond that. Because if we, as a large buyer, put our supplier at risk because they're not making enough margin on our business, we're the first people they're going to fire when they get somebody else that comes along, or that company's not going to exist. So you have to look at all of these relationships, or supplier, producer, whatever. They are relationships. And if you don't handle it like that, you handle it like a transaction, which a lot of corporate procurement does now, which is why I don't do it anymore. All of that human touch is gone.
Yeah.
And then you don't give a damn if somebody loses their job because you saved your company money and your bonus was a little higher this year. And that's not what you guys are doing. You're doing the exact opposite. And people will say you're crazy.
Yeah, I like to think that people either really love us or really dislike us.
I don't think there's a middle ground there.
There isn't.
Either people are like, man, these guys are really solving problems for the industry, or the brokers are like, these guys are really jacking with my ability to get in between these relationships and make a couple pennies.
Yeah, it's funny when I go on LinkedIn and people that I've worked with in the past that are just behind their laptop all day and don't even like talking on the phone, that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see some of them, posting about them on the road, traveling, and about pushing relationships now. So I think that we might be motivating people a little bit to get back out there and have that personal touch that has been missing in this industry for quite some time.
Yeah. I would say that it's doing the same for me, but I already travel too much anyway. And I do not miss the windshield time. I don't. Like, more power to you guys because you're making a difference. I don't have the backbone for another couple of years of that much windshield time. That drove me insane being alone by I listened to a lot of podcasts though.
Yeah.
Maybe it made me better at this because that's all I did was listen to podcasts all day.
No, it's fun, but I think it was last week. It was like Thursday, and we were traveling a bunch, and we just kind of hit the wall. We were just like, all right, we just like took a day to ourselves because it can be a lot.
Was it like a spa day? You guys go get like hot stone massages?
Yeah,
I think it's just be quiet for a few hours, which is hard.
I think it was like put the phone in the other room and walk away from your phone for a couple hours.
Yeah. I was talking to a coworker of mine. So I'm going on vacation next week, and I've been contemplating not taking my electronics with me, and I get like these little mini panic attacks, like thinking about being out of touch. So I think there's something to be said about being able to like wind down, shut down, take some time for yourself. I've just never been able to do it. And if somebody here knows how to do that, please help me. I need the help.
I want to ask.
I'll have TikTok withdrawal.
Yeah. Or watch really bad TV shows.
True.
Not get into it.
Friends sucks. I'm going to say it again. It's
Don't
not
say
funny.
it to Mitchell.
Anyway,
Don't say it to Mitchell.
it's not funny. It's
Mitchell
really not
loves
funny.
that show.
You know
Mitchell,
what's
he's
funny?
trashing on
Seinfeld.
Friends.
You're either a Seinfeld person or you're a Friends person.
No,
So that's
you're
what I
either an Office person or a Friends person.
No, the
And you
British
don't like
Office.
either, which
Yeah,
is
the
just
British
a
Office
red
is way
flag.
better. Anyway, I've got more red flags than that. Just stick around for a little while. You'll feel like I don't even know if I want to hang out with this guy.
I know. Right?
So we've talked a lot of big things here. You guys got a lot going on. And I think you're making a big difference. And I appreciate what you're doing. And I asked Sam this last week, like, what's next for Brave? Like, where do you see yourself in a year? Like, how many Brave partners do you have now? Kind of where do you think that next evolution is going to be? And can this be like a nationwide type recycling thing?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. So I think we talked about this on the first time we talked. I mean, this has always been something that we had thought about. We showed up at AMI last year with a few sweatshirts that Adam stayed up late ironing on birds and kind of like had an idea. And it kind of caught fire a lot faster than I think we all thought.
Yeah.
Which has been great. And it's opened up a lot of, let's call it like loose partnerships and relationships. And we're all building together the way that we envision it. So solidifying it, we've got direct polymers, we've got the alternative plastics. We're going to be, officially bringing in Baltimore plant here soon. And, we've got what we're doing with Alex, which I think is a good model for us to start having call it hub facilities across the country that everybody can kind of
aggregation hubs
or
where you
even
can bring material in.
Even a rejection hub.
Also not a bad thing to do. Like you can collect things that other people couldn't. That probably would have ended up in a landfill.
Well, no, I'm talking about, if ever all these different plants for one reason or another have a rejection.
So a rejection at like Will's place, it would come up to you.
Let's say Will ship something all the way up to, Indiana, and we don't need to pay freight all the way back. We just have to rework it or, change a few boxes out. And we all do that with each other too. Just kind of help each other out. So we'll be solidifying that we have a few companies where there's aging owners or owners who want to get out, like we were talking about, where there's some mergers that make sense to combine feedstocks and resources where they are operating in the same region. We just opened up, which will be officially online later this month, a PVC facility in Utah where we'll be we call it, a joint Brave infrastructure where all the different companies are able to go. It's full transparent pricing and everything. So you can send the PVC scrap there to get ground, pulverized. We all talk about, what the buy price is, what the sell price, and then just split evenly. I think you'll see a lot more of that, some joint infrastructure. We started pelletizing in Denver, and we'll be working with one of our compounding partners on really creating good, solid compounds to sell out to the West Coast. So I think we'll see a lot more of that. And then, our big goal, which is kind of not to do with any of this, like when you talk about the technical side, is we really want to get this more of this media out there, more of the storytelling out there. What you guys are going to do with the styrene is awesome. Things like that, where when we talk about empathy, we want people to see people inside the plants and get to know them. And
those are the people that matter.
Yeah. I mean, Adam jokes about calling it like the hard knocks for plastics. But
you could probably get a pretty good show out of that.
I just think that there's so many white papers that have gone out there and so many different, TV specials or this or that, where it's like, whenever I take somebody into a plant for the first time, everything that they thought changes. And I'm not expecting to bring everybody across the country into a plant. But if we can at least start to show them more and then just the human side of it. I think the key of it is what we talked about is like kind of unlocking that empathy factor and getting people to understand the people behind it and what's happening. That's
the whole point of this podcast.
Yeah.
Honestly, the reason why I started this was I was at MPE. I'd been thinking about it for months prior, but I was at MPE and I was talking to a lot of people and they were concerned about where or if they're going to have jobs because they're aging in the plastics industry. And if the plastics industry goes away, what am I going to do? And I started thinking about all of the great people that I work with on a day-to-day basis. And so I said, I don't really have a platform, but I can build one. And if I build one and I say things, maybe people will listen, maybe they won't. But I want to at least go down swinging.
Oh, yeah.
To protect the people that I care about. And there's been so many people in this industry that have made a huge impact in my life. And so I want to help out in any way that I can. And we need more of that. So with the media stuff.
Yeah. I just find it very important to support the ones that are doing all the legwork and are in the warehouse, late at night on the weekends, sorting stuff out to process. We really want to support the guys that are doing the down and dirty work, just really important to connect the guys that are on the floor to connect them with the best homes out there, to keep their doors open.
Mm-hmm.
My very ambitious goal for Brave, long term, is to help more people get to heaven. And I say that, and some people laugh, but when I say that, what I mean is that I think that we've all stopped looking around at the people next to us, and that we're all so spun up in our day to day. So we're worried about how, whether you're a warehouse employee, worried about how you're going to make rent, or you're worried about this. So you aren't able to look at the person next to you, whether you're in the industry or not. You're worried about yourself. And it's just a culture that's become prevalent in this country and across the world because we have to be. We have to be worried about ourselves. And I don't blame anybody for trying to put food on the table for their family or take care of what they need to take care of. But to be able to give them a little bit of comfort where they can look up and look around and say, how can I help the person next to me? That's
pay it forward.
Pay it forward. And if we can do more of that and not be so stressed and be able to take care of each other better, then we'll see each other again one day. But it just so happens that this is an industry that we're still able to do that. We're not, we're not in tech sales. We're not sitting behind a cubicle. We're able to be a bunch of people and treat people right. So this is a good industry where I think that we can kind of lay that groundwork.
And there are others after that, but I think you guys got your hands full with this one. This one needs a lot of work. And I know you guys have the energy to do it. It's just a matter of we need more support from other like-minded people.
Yep.
Jump in and be a part of this thing and keep things going. So, Sam, I'm going to put you on the spot now. I need you to ask just one random question. It doesn't have to be plastics related. It could be ridiculous.
To them?
Yeah.
For them?
Or me. I don't care.
Ooh. One random question. Okay. I guess this can be for Mitch too, because I probably know the answer, but not everyone does. For both of you, it's going to be two separate answers. I guess I'll go Alex first. If you weren't in the plastics industry at all, what do you what would you want to be doing? And then two, what do you think you would realistically be doing? Like they could be different because sometimes I want to be something that it's just not gonna
I would be a
happen.
professional baseball player until I
we
realized I didn't
all
have the talent to do it. Yeah. Anyway.
So you have two answers here. What do you want?
I always joke with people, especially when these markets are down so much. I'm just like, I'm gonna just go sell used cars. I'm like,
Oh, yeah, you have said
I'm gonna go
that.
sell used cars.
No,
Like,
but you've never even been in the plastics industry.
Okay, yeah, that's
So-
your joke. What would I actually do? What would I want to
Yeah.
do?
Sure.
Probably a realtor. I love houses.
Oh, that's right. You did like
I'm on
that.
Zillow all the time. I
That's
think
very
I'd
fun.
be selling $1 million houses.
Okay.
and then buying it and then having to sell more $1 million houses to
Right.
afford
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Realistically,
Mm-hmm.
probably
Yeah.
that. We'll stick.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I
Mitchell?
worked in finance. I loved working in I like to win the deals. So I probably would have stuck with that. But I'll
Do
turn
you-
this one back on you, Sam, because
Okay.
I think that we all probably have the same answer. Now that you're in it, do you think that you could ever get out of it?
To be completely, if I'm being,
Ah,
no, wait. Wait. I think, honestly, like the position I am right now, like if you asked me this a year ago, it would be a completely different answer. But I think the experience that I've had in my current position, again, it has a lot to do with the people make the place, the people make the job. So it's the fact that you're in it, Mitchell, I think has a big impact on my answer, only because like half the shit you guys are talking about, I'm still like, what are you talking about?
That's the point.
But it really like makes me want to know more and be able to be where they are. Like I could never go to a plant and be like, you should be doing this. I would still be like, that sounds good to me. Like, great, good for you. So I think obviously I'm in too deep now. Like I have to, and it's like I've said before, like I love my job and I can't imagine being happier than I am in a workplace. So no, I'm in too deep. One, because I need to know what the hell all this stuff is. And two, I can't imagine myself being as happy as I am in my position now anywhere else. And I get to work with my brother, so that's like the best thing ever.
Can't complain about any of that.
I mean, what about you, Justin? I mean, I feel like it'd be hard to get out, right?
Yeah, at this point, I think I'm pot committed.
If you weren't in the plastics industry, you would want to be a professional baseball player, but if
No.
that's not happening, what do you maybe think you would be doing? What did you used to do?
I would be doing communications in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That's what I studied.
Yeah, I would still be doing. I didn't. I have a history degree. Like none of this makes none of my career makes any sense.
Mine doesn't really either.
Yeah. So I would probably be doing podcasts for fun still, is like we've all established. We're not making money off this.
It's just
and
fun.
then I would probably be doing government affairs for some other industry, just because I love it. I love the fight. I love dealing with the legislative process. That's fun for me. But then I'd still need some sort of customer interaction in some way, shape, or form.
Sam said something interesting. How like you want to keep like learning and like understanding what's going on. I feel like in a lot of industries, people don't get that curiosity.
I would agree with that.
It's like,
well, because it's if
even
you
in the
care, if
plastics
you
industry.
don't. It's because if you don't care, then why do you need to know? It's like,
Yeah.
and even with like my day-to-day, what I do day-to-day, like, yeah, it would make some of the work easier on like completely understanding. I can still get the job done though. So it's like, do I really need to know? No. But
you
it's
want to.
all, because they're talking all the time around me. Half the time I'm sitting here even today and I'm shaking my head and I'm like, you could say something that literally didn't make sense and I wouldn't even catch it because that's everything. So it's like, one, I feel kind of left out. And two, Mitch hasn't even been in the industry that long. I mean, what, 2-3 years now, I think. And what he has like grown to know is just shows me that like it's you can start anywhere. And like, it doesn't, I mean, it might take a little bit to really fully grasp it, but like seeing the like knowledge that he's taken in since he's gotten into it, I'm like, it's definitely possible. And like, I would like to be able to talk like you guys are and feel confident in the way I'm speaking, and even maybe one day go to a warehouse with them and I can talk to them and they can watch me. And like, I don't know, I don't want to be the girl that always just stands there. I want to give my 2 cents in too and like know what everyone's talking about.
And I can tell you that those guys want your 2 cents.
They get it.
Oh,
for sure.
I mean, we get it. I probably
They get a few dollars
I invite her on the daily.
Yeah.
every day. And that's why I'm always like asking questions and I'm like, half the time I don't know, but it's also like I'm asking because I want to learn. And like sometimes I'll even be like everyone hates it, but it's like, sorry if it's a dumb question. There are no dumb questions, or sorry if I asked this a million times before. But it is nice, and it's nice to have Alex with us like closer now because like we've grown so close. So it's almost like me and him are going back at it, and I'm like, okay, well, like it's just so nice to be close with everybody because they really do help me out. And then at one point they're like, okay, that's enough knowledge for the day. Let's pick it up on Monday.
Yeah,
So I think you touched on an interesting point. So, Mitch, you have picked up a ton in a very short time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think you've done that?
By
People around you?
surrounding myself with good people. But
That's right.
and that's like Sam too. She's just saying now how she's comfortable wanting to learn more and asking the questions. And I'm sure there's people out there in this industry that are not willing to help, but most people are. So I think like none of us went to college for this. Like we all just.
That's what I was saying last week. Is that like there's no textbook. Like I've tried, but Mitch even put together like was really nothing to help me, minus like me and Mitch would be texting at 10:30 p.m. talking about freaking PET and all this. Like, and I'm like, this is just on a text thread. Like, I need something that I can look back on. And he actually created me like a whole like dictionary. It had like definitions, it had like processes, and it was just like, and then I made my own Quizlet. So I don't know how you, Mitchell, how you did it without any of this.
You have to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and be willing to ask for help.
Yeah, and I do.
And I think sitting in these kind of discussions more and more and more, you're just going to pick it up by osmosis.
Well,
and
that's what I hope. Like, I hope, when we're talking about how we get more people involved, I hope people hear what Sam's saying right now, being, somebody who's come in kind of late to this and just picking things up and absorbing it by being around people and asking questions and just showing up and working hard every day. Because if you do, then there's a great future for you. But you have to almost seek it out. But you get rewarded for it. So it's not just going to be, something that you go apply to online and go and show up and they walk you through.
It's definitely overwhelming for sure. Like
I'm
much better now, way better now. But I remember when I first started, it was just like a nightmare.
So when I first started in plastics, I didn't know a thing about polymers. And I was put in charge of buying polymers for a very large corporation. And Hurricane Harvey hit very soon after me starting, and I had to learn the hard way. But I had a guy that sat right next door to me. His name is Jeff Mitchell. I'm going to give him another shout out. And he was the buyer for PET at Sunoco Products, which is now Topan Group, because their plastics division spun off. But he was the most patient person I've ever been around, because I sat in his doorway. I darkened his door frame every single day. And I asked him an insane amount of questions. And he never acted like it was annoying. He never looked at me and was like, yeah, I got my own job to do. He was like, yeah, I want to help you succeed. And there's so many people like that in this industry. And if you surround yourself with brave people like we're talking about here, you will grow and you will learn. And you will make a huge difference in this industry because you will want to do the same for other people. Yes, that is the big thing here.
I got to give a quick shout out because we're talking about this. So I started about 7 years ago in the Chicagoland area, and I had a really good mentor. He's actually the owner of Eco Polymers in Michigan.
Yeah.
His name's Louis Castellanos. He really took me under his wing for a solid year, and I learned pretty much everything from him. So I can't thank him enough for his leadership, because I would not be anywhere I am today without other leaders, us. So super grateful for that.
Every one of us has that story. And that's why we have passion for this industry.
Mitchell. Shout out Mitchell. Thank you so much.
So now it's a matter of picking up as much information as you can from the people that are around you. And then, like I said, you are the next generation of leaders in recycling in plastics. who are you going to bring alongside you once you have the knowledge and once you have the ability to solve problems for people? Who are you going to coach up?
Mhm.
And I think that's the key, and
Well,
that's
you
how
need-
this whole thing works.
You need Sam to figure out how to get in front of them on TikTok, and
I
then
also agree with that.
and then we'll.
That's a
She's
tough
going to narrate
algorithm
that
to hit.
video for me. Yeah, she doesn't know it yet, but she
Okay.
has been voluntold. She's going to narrate the video.
Yeah, Sam,
for us.
you gotta sling some plastic through TikTok.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how many people in the plastics industry are on there.
You know, we don't want to talk to the people in the plastics industry. We want to talk
Not.
to their kids and get their kids excited about it,
Okay.
and then they will take it to their parents. Be like, "Hey, have you seen this plastics thing?" That's how
They're
we
gonna
do
be
it.
like, no.
Obviously not.
Yeah.
'Cause,
But now it's in their brain.
Yeah.
yeah, we planted the seed. Now
Mhm.
let it germinate and spread. Anyway, so I know you've got a very important Pilates class, Sam, and I want to keep track of time. But I don't know, any other parting thoughts from the brave boys?
Find your local recycler. Find your local plastic recycler if you're a manufacturer or a distribution center, and send them an email. Look in the warehouse and see if there's things sitting around, pallets, slip sheets, anything like that, and send them an email and say, "Can you take this?"
Ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. Be vulnerable.
Yeah. For sure.
That's one thing I never had a
that's
problem
huge.
with. I would always just be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Please help me. And everybody was great about it. Nobody
Yeah.
ever made me feel stupid for asking a question.
I mean, it's just having the right attitude too. You got Mitch knocking on manufacturers' doors with his George Strait shirt on and his hat, and they're like, "How can I help you?" "I'm a garbage man. What do you got for plastics?"
Yeah.
It's just super short and right to the
Yeah.
the topic.
Yeah.
Break the ice, as Sam said earlier with the T-shirt specifically.
Yep.
So this Temu thing, I got to understand this. So are you just like buying hundreds of T-shirts a month on this app, or what are we talking about?
They've gamified it. They make it feel like a casino, and I have a very addictive personality.
So do I. So you're telling me
don't
not to
don't
go on
download the
that.
app.
Yeah, all right.
Don't do that to yourself.
It's too easy to buy with Apple Pay these days.
He's gonna start
Yeah.
shipping stuff to my house.
So Chase doesn't know about it.
What's funny for me is like I stopped buying clothes a long time ago. It was somebody else's responsibility in this house. And over the last 6 months, the only clothes that I've received are Brave gear. So like everywhere I go, I've got Brave T-shirts on. I got Brave polo, Brave hat. And I
Good.
just love it.
Yeah.
I will be a walking billboard for you guys for as long as you'll have me.
I'll say the last note, because I know we all got it, but this is something that truly does differentiate, is like it's something as simple as gear to get to people, like they appreciate it. And then like Sam will go and send people flowers and cultivate those relationships, or send food to the warehouse. And it's not because we're trying to like, we're showing up with some donuts today to see if we can, sell you guys some mutual funds or some life insurance. Like, we're just like, hey, thanks for all you guys do. And that's gone a long way.
Human touch. I think if we take anything from this conversation, that's the crux of it. You're bringing humanity back to small businesses and recycling specifically within small businesses. And I am here for it. I'm supportive of it, and I will continue to support it. And I'm sure we will continue to collaborate in even bigger and better ways as we go forward.
We appreciate you, Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Sam, anything you want to add? Any
Boys,
nuggets
thanks.
of wisdom?
Yes. I just touching on appreciating people. I think I do that, send people stuff, whatever it is, even like freight guys who God bless them. Mainly because I just like want to be like, we're also friends. Like I talk to all these logistic women every day. And like I told you, Justin, like it's just silly and funny. And I want you to be like, here's flowers for your Friday, because nothing's better than fresh flowers in their house. So just be kind to people. And Mitch and Alex, you are two great role models for me. You too, Justin, honestly. You're joining this family now. Well, we'll get there, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still an asshole.
No, but it is just topping it off with, it is great to have like you said, there's two ends. You could either really not like these two because of what they're doing, or you could really praise them for it. And I'm definitely praising them because it's really awesome to be, these are the two people that I work under every day. So
yeah,
kudos to you guys, and thanks for being you.
And thanks for being on the show. So you
Yeah.
can do that now. You can say
Thanks
that.
for
Thanks for
coming, you
being on
guys. You guys
our
have been great. I hope to have you back
show.
soon. Yeah.
So that's the way you're going to have to speak about it from now on. Thanks
Yeah.
for being on our podcast.
Thank you
'Cause
for being on our podcast.
That's ultimately what it is now. But Redefining
exciting.
Plastics, had a blast as always. Brave Industries, keep on doing what you're doing. For my co-host, Samantha Ryan, Justin
Thank you,
Riney,
everybody.
Mitch Best, Alex Mon, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
You want to learn more about the plastics industry, recycling, check out these other videos, please like and subscribe.